What is happening, everybody? MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video, Mastering Live Betting, How to Turn Losing Bets into Big Wins. Super excited to bring in this video, something completely different. A lot of people know about arbitrage, but this is sort of a, not different, but different in comparison to that. Before we do that, as always, if you're watching this video for the first time, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Goal for the end of the year is to hit 2,000 subs. We're about 150 away. So if you're watching this video and have yet to subscribe, greatly appreciate you subscribing. If you want to follow me on Instagram, give out a ton of content on Instagram, MGCovers, covers spelled with a Z. Do something called Free Fridays. Give out all my lines for free for all sports on Friday. And we have a ton of action. We've got NHL right now, power rankings. NBA should be coming out here after they played basically about 5 games. So we'll have a ton of action for you guys. All right, so let's dive into live wagering. And before we do that, let's look at, we had a really good week last week. Let me show you this. We had up 1.4 units, 1,400 for me. We had a 14% ROI. And you see their closing line value minus 0.27, 2%. And like I've always said, closing line value, not near as important as people make it out to be, but a really solid week. And if you look at there at the volume, we had 31 wagers, which is that's a lot of volume for me in a week. And played a lot of, I think we had 9 NFL plays total for the week. And that's going into Monday night. May play this Monday night game as well. Not sure, but might make a separate video about that. Okay, so let's dive into some live wagering concepts. Now, first off, my approach to live wagering and the way I want to do it is I'm still going to wager the same way I've always wagered, find plays with value, make a good wager. And when I'm going to consider live wagering is if I know that the wager I've made is probably going to lose. And here's a great example. I kind of clipped off the top of this. I was going 100 miles an hour doing this. And that's another negative for live wagering is it happens very fast. You have to be ready to pull the trigger. So we had wagered $500 on Georgia State to win. They were dogs. And obviously they weren't doing well. They were basically getting blown out here in the first half. And you can see the score was 24-7. And Georgia, this might have been right before that. Georgia Southern was driving. So they were winning 24-7. And we had 500 on the other team that was losing. And what I want you to look at, if you can see it, I don't know if the cursor works on here. Let me see if it does. Probably doesn't. Is if you look where about in the middle of the screen, it says win percentage 94.4. Now, some betting sites will do this. ESPN, which is where I shot this from, will do this as well. And it's fairly accurate. There's probably a 2% margin of error, meaning based on analytics of that sport, at this point, Georgia Southern up 24-7 has a 94% chance of winning. So in essence, that means if we do nothing, our wager only has about a 6% chance of losing. So more than likely, we're going to lose this bet. So let me show you. We'll show you the next screen. The books, whoops, my bad. Okay. The books were going to give me minus 198 for Georgia Southern to win outright. Now, that's a lot of juice. I understand that. However, when you're live wagering, we do this. It's the same exact thing. We're looking for value and a good margin. So if the books were going to give me minus 198, which is what I played, and you can see there on the screen, that basically translates into a 66% chance of winning. However, if you remember from the previous screen, let's go back to it just for a reminder, the actual true odds of Georgia Southern winning were 94%. So if you've got a calculator, I'll show you how to calculate that real quick. We take 66 divided by 94 equals 0.70. Minus 1 equals 30%. So we had a 30% margin. A 30% margin is really good. So in essence, the reality of the situation, Georgia Southern had a 94% chance of winning, but the books were going to only make us pay for a 66% chance of winning. So at this point, would it be a good wager to wager the minus 198? Yes, it would. And so what we actually did is we wagered a significant amount. Now, understand, we had wagered 500 on Georgia State, and at this point, we were risking basically 2 units to make 1 unit. Now, the reason I did that, and this will vary with handicappers. When I make a wager in this situation, if I was going to make a wager where if it won, it would wash out the other wager, meaning basically makes 500. I had 500 risk. We'd win 500. It would wash out. We wouldn't make any money. That's what I call a dead wager. And more times than not, as a business person, if I'm going to invest money, I want to have a return on that money. I wouldn't want to risk X amount of dollars to make zero. So that's my philosophy on that. Some people might disagree with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Meaning, I could have played this for 1,000 to win 500, and it would have cashed out that $500 loss. But what I did was, and a lot of it is sort of thinking through this again, 94% chance of winning, right? So that was another reason why I risked this so high. So in essence, we lost the first wager of 500, but we won this one, which ended up making us $500 profit. And again, if we would have, let's say, let me give you that other scenario. Let's say we risk 1,000 and we end up losing this game. So then we would be down 1,500, right? This scenario where you see on my screen, we would have been down about 2,500. So both scenarios, if it loses, we're losing money. It's just a matter of how much. So my point is, if it's worthy of an investment, meaning if it's worthy of you to invest, you have value, in my opinion, you should invest enough to recoup the loss of the quote bad wager and still turn a significant profit. And again, of course, you might could have wagered less. Maybe I'll wager 1,400. And that way I'd have won about 700 and made a $200 profit on that one. But that's the overall concept. And again, the important takeaway is that you still want to have value, right? So if Georgia Southern only had maybe a 70% chance of winning, maybe they were up 14-10, that would not be a good wager, right? Because there wouldn't be a significant margin. And if you want to know what significant margin it would be, I would say at least 15%, but you would probably want more in this situation, considering the amount that I was risking, which was a lot of money. Okay, let's go on to the next scenario. Okay, this was from Saturday in soccer. Now, we wagered this team to, if the match drew or they won, we would win this wager. So the actual wager I played was this team plus 0.25. So that's basically a soccer line on the spread. So if they win or draw, we would still win. If it draws, we win half the wager. If they win, we win all of it. Well, with about 4 minutes, maybe 4 to 3 minutes to go in the match, they were down 1-0. And again, very similar to the other wager, the books were giving us minus 196 for the other team to basically hang on to that win. Now, in soccer, it does happen, teams scoring a late goal, but it is still extremely rare. And here's how to process this. So if they're giving me minus 196, if you remember from the previous example, that means a 66% chance of this team winning. So then we have 40% left, right? And this is how I've always approached math being logical. So we essentially, is there a 40% chance either this team scores another goal or the opposing team scores another goal with 4 minutes to go? There's way less than a 40% chance of that happening, especially with 4 minutes to go in a soccer match. Again, late goals still happen. And again, there's risk involved, but we're playing percentages here. But we definitely had greater than a 60% chance of winning this late. At what percent, I'm not sure, but it was definitely greater than a 60%. And we did the same thing here. So you can remember on the previous wager, let's show you that screen again. We had risked with juice 382. So again, I wanted to risk enough to turn a profit and wagered minus 196, and they held on to the win. So again, to review these two scenarios, both examples, had we done nothing, we would have been down 382 plus the 5, about $800. Instead, we ended up winning about 600. So a significant spread. And again, most of you understand about arbitrage, meaning if you, or not necessarily arbitrage, but let's say a guaranteed win, meaning if you play the beginning of a game, let's say the Celtics are plus 150 and they're playing the Knicks. You play Celtics plus 150. Celtics go up on this big run 15-4, and then the opposing team, the Knicks, are now plus 175. You wager plus 175, same amount you wager on the Celtics, and that's a winning wager regardless. This is a little bit different, and obviously there's risk involved. I understand that, but I'm going to incorporate this into my wagering, and as you can see, it worked. Now, the only time I would probably do this, and some mistakes I made this week, there were two games that I played where I didn't have anything at stake and just played a live wager. And obviously you can do that. But in my case, I would rather use this as a tool when I'm pretty certain that the wager we made is going to lose, and try to create a scenario like you can see here where we have value, and obviously we're going to have a lot at risk, but it's a calculated risk where we're almost guaranteed to win that wager. So anyway, so that's the concept. And again, I'm not like an expert in live wagering. I understand the concept, I understand value, but it's definitely something I'm going to incorporate into my wagering and super, super excited about. So anyway, so if you want access to all my power rankings that produced a very profitable week, you can do that for $50 a month. You also get access to all of my coaching videos. If you want access to everything I just mentioned, in addition to all my plays, that's $100 a month. There's a link to join in the description box. The best value is joining for an entire year. Instead of paying $100 a month, you get everything on the site for 1 year for $500, savings about $600. And I have a stat model coaching program. I teach you one-on-one how to build stat models. That coaching program is full. If you want to get on the waiting list, click the link in the description box, sign up for that. Good luck this week, and love to hear some success stories you guys live wagering. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.